Thank you for joining today's webinar. This is the third in a series of webinars featuring Industry 4.0 solutions offered by Sage Clarity. Today, we will show you how to move forward with Industry 4.0 technology and the future of quality management with Enact from InfinityQS. During the webinar, feel free to ask any questions you might have using the chat window in the GoToWebinar panel options. We will monitor those questions to answer at the end of the webinar. I am Jon Simpson, Vice President at Sage Clarity, and on today's webinar, I'm excited to present alongside David Gurr, Global Channel Partner Account Manager at InfinityQS. Sage Clarity focuses on solutions to enable the hyper-information-led enterprise of future. Our recent webinars have highlighted Industry 4.0 solutions, such as Sage Clarity's Able technology and next-generation Andon platform. Today, the future of quality has arrived in the form of Enact, a cutting-edge approach to enterprise quality management, developed by our industry-leading partner, InfinityQS. This cloud-based platform goes well beyond traditional SPC, and its implementation will revolutionize quality throughout your operations. Today's agenda will start with a brief introduction explaining why quality management is key to Industry 4.0 objectives. Then, we will address some of the challenges faced around gathering value and insights from your quality data and show how implementing Enact both addresses these challenges and delivers ongoing process improvement across your operations. After this, David will take you through a live demo of Enact for a first-hand view of its capabilities. We will then open up to any questions, followed by a quick wrap-up. Let's get started. So what do you think of when correlating quality with Industry 4.0? We want actionable insight for everyone as we work with customers and suppliers at the same time. Key points of Industry 4.0 with quality include traceability, such as always being ready for audits and compliance with ease. Global visibility, having consistency between departments and plants with data accuracy. ROI in quality management, improving efficiency in real-time data collection and escalation. And supplier collaboration, real-time understanding and control with suppliers. These are real-time practices of management. So how do we make quality your biggest competitive advantage? Consider for a moment how much time, effort, and money you currently invest in data collection for a whole range of purposes, compliance, waste reduction, etc. This occurs across multiple lines, products, manufacturing sites, even countries. And there are so many data sources, systems, database, even paper. Then what do you do with all the data you collect? How much insight is lost simply because of the requirement to generate consistent reports across the enterprise? We will show you today how Enact revolutionizes your operations through its data collection, data analysis, and data insight capabilities to deliver real-time insight and demonstrable cost savings. So how does Enact revolutionize data collection? In order to improve the quality of your production processes, you need to collect data relating to the quality of those processes. As I mentioned, you'll have multiple products, lines, plants, even countries. Your data may come from operator checks, devices, as well as machines. The challenge is how to unify this data simply, easily, and timely. Enact is designed to gather your quality data, however and wherever it's generated, into a single database. And most importantly, to collect it as it's close to the point of measurement as possible. This helps maximize the accuracy and real-time currency of your data, and therefore the effectiveness of results in delivering process improvement. Once you have your data, you can analyze variation and present the results. But how does Enact revolutionize data analysis? Throughout any organization, different groups of people want to see results presented in a slightly different way. An operator is concerned about what's happening in front of them right now. A plant manager is interested in what's happened this week or month across their plant. And a senior management official needs to view changes across the entire business over time. Some of your audiences will want statistical data. Others will simply want an indication of the overall performance. How can you provide different results for different people without increasing resources significantly? Writing one quality report is bad enough. You simply don't have the time to write them for everyone. Plus, static reports are out of date from the moment they're produced, and increasingly everyone is demanding real-time information. You simply don't have the time to answer all their questions, and they want instant answers. So that's where Enact comes in. Enact generates multiple different real-time views of analysis for different audiences instantly, with no need to write reports. These views can be interrogated and drilled down into to gather more detailed insights and instant answers. How does Enact revolutionize data insights? Implementing, even evaluating traditional manufacturing quality management solutions requires a large-scale IT project because the solution usually requires servers, operating systems, databases, application software licenses, desktop software installation, you name it, and ongoing maintenance. All this requires a significant amount of upfront investment, even just for evaluation purposes. This means getting budgetary approval for a project that may take many, many months before delivering any payback. That's where Enact is different. It is a cloud-based solution that requires no significant investment in local IT. Enact is delivered as a subscription service. You simply pay monthly based on usage rather than having a large upfront license. There's no application server. There's no budget impact or additional IT team resource requirement. What's more, you can start really small, piloting the concept on a single process, on a single line, and giving you your own ROI model showing Enact reducing the cost per inspect unit. Once proven, you can easily roll out to go live on that line, scale out to the whole plant, or extend to the same lines in other plants. To start with, the only non-recoverable cost you need to budget for is the cost of the pilot project, and that's now an extremely small project. After that, Enact will be delivering a net benefit. So at this point, what I'm going to do is hand it over to David Gurr from InfinityQS, who will take you through an introductory demo of Enact and its capabilities. David, I'm going to hand it over to you now. So give me a moment. And there you go. Over to you.
Great. Okay. Thanks, John. So, yeah, great introduction, John. Thanks for that. To keep things to time, today we're only going to be looking at a flavor of what Enact can do, but I'm going to give you a swift view really through the capabilities in terms of data collection and analysis. So this is Enact running in a browser on my PC. You can use any device with a browser and connection to the internet, a PC or laptop, a workstation on the production line, an Android tablet or iPad with Wi-Fi, or even a smartphone. Here we're looking at the work dashboard, the view of an operator on the factory floor. And we're going to be showing a configuration here for sample data for a hypothetical potato chip snack manufacturer called Cheery Chips. First, I'm going to look at how operators can use Enact to enter measurement data directly into the system. And later, we'll look at how you can analyze that data in different dashboards. So before I get into data collection, let me talk you around some core components of the system. Every dashboard is made up of separate tiles. And on this work dashboard, here in the top center, we have a series of buttons for data collections. The data collections themselves and the graphics are all configurable as part of the initial setup of your Enact system. On the left, we have a notifications tile. This shows information in green or in white and alerts in red, as you can see here. Users can also be notified via the alert bell at the top of the screen and optionally can receive email alerts, useful for users who aren't always logged into Enact. At the bottom is a finished items tile. This will fill up as we make data collections and allows users to review data that they've already entered. And on the right, we have a list of processes that this user is allowed to see. As I'm logged in as an administrator, I see quite a few things there, but most users will have a much more restricted view. So let's see how that view is configured. We're going to take a look at what we call, we're going to take a look at what we call the process hierarchy. So here's the process hierarchy for a company called Cheery Chips. They have just a single division making chips and 2 operating regions, one in EMEA, Europe, Middle East and Africa, and one in North America. In EMEA, they have a single site in Luton in the UK, and in North America, they have a single site in Fairfax. In Fairfax, there's a packaging department, a processing department, and in the processing department is a frying area, a seasoning area, and a slicing area. Because I'm logged in as administrator, I can have any unit I want checked. And I can also go and select any individual units. And anything that's checked allows me to see the data associated with those units. So as an operator working in the packaging unit in Fairfax, I would only be able to select any of the lines within packaging in Fairfax. If I was a shift manager, I might have all of the packaging lines checked. The plant manager might have the whole of Fairfax, and a senior executive would have the entire company selected. So let's go back to our work dashboard. Now we can set timing intervals for data collections in Enact. Let's start the process for packaging line 1 in Fairfax. You'll see now that a counter has started. We'd configure this line to allow 4.5 minutes between bag quality checks. This means that the operator doesn't need to remember to do a data collection. They're automatically prompted to do it. If we click on that, because we'd already configured here the product that we're making and the shift, that data is already entered for us, and we go straight into the data collection. So you can configure those production assignments in Enact so the system knows what products you're making, on which line and when, and that data can also come from an external production scheduling system if you have one. So here we're packaging barbecue flavored chips in 50-gram bags. The data collection window prompts the user at the top with the work instruction. You can configure the system for simple manual data entry, as we're doing here, or you can use connected measurement devices that might be connected by cable or Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. The film strip on this part of the screen shows the set of the tasks that the operator will do. In this case, 3 samples of nitrogen pressure, and then 3 samples of tear strength, followed by a visual inspection. The operator types the value into the data entry field, hits enter, the film strip moves to the next item, and they're prompted for the second sample. If we enter a reading outside of the specification limits, we can get a specification limit alert. Now this is optional. You can configure the system to hide specification limits for operators if you want to. If we select OK, you'll notice there's now a red dot next to that data collection to indicate that that was out of specification. So I'm just going to quickly enter some other figures here. Lastly, we have an attribute data collection for the bag label check. Here, this is just a pass-fail test, but that could be pass and type of failure. For example, missing or smudged, allowing multiple failure types. In this case, we're just going to select pass, and we're going to save that data collection away. So that's our data collection completed. You'll see now that we have some more alerts in the notifications tile. We had the alert the data collection was due. We've got a manufacturing limit violation to say that our nitrogen pressure was above the upper specification limit. You'll also see that we have a completed data collection in the finished items tile. We can open that and review the data that we just entered. Data can also be collected from any unattended in-process devices that continually generate data. Obviously, in those cases, there's no operator intervention. The data simply gets collected by a small local software application that we provide and sent up to your Enact database in the cloud. We can collect data from almost any type of device using CSV, XML, OPC, SQL, and other data sources. So that's data collection. Let's move on and take a look at data analysis. Every view in Enact is a dashboard. We're going to go and select what we've called here the supervisor dashboard. Now that's just the name we've given it and the layout that we've chosen in this case. Enact allows you to define any number of analysis dashboards. And when setting them up, you have full control over which tiles are shown, what data they contain, and the layout of the tiles within the dashboard. So all of this is just an example. The left-hand tile in this configuration is what we call a stream summary tile. This is showing the worst data stream first, with decreasing level of importance as we run from left to right and top to bottom. So what are streams? Well, streams are data associated with a unique combination of part, process, and feature. So by default, you see an icon for the part together with the name of the feature. On the bottom two rows of each stream, you see the number of pieces out of specification, in this case 83 out of 245, and below that the number of subgroups out of control, in this case none. If I click on the More icon here, I can flip all the tiles, and that now also shows me the process that each of those are associated with. And you can see we have the worst at the top left, and getting progressively less worse as we go from left to right and top to bottom. So from this stream summary tile, I can see what my worst combination of part, process, and feature is. And I can drill down for more information. If I click on the top half, I can select firstly the frequency distribution histogram. So this is showing me the range of values that have been collected and how frequent each of those values is in the occurrence. Ideally, this should be a nice bell curve, which we do have here, but we can also see that it's offset from the target. And it's breaching the upper specification limit. If we go back to the dashboard, we can also choose to display a traditional SBC control chart showing the time series data. Subgroups that identify a data point that contains a data point that's out of specification are highlighted in red. You can see quite a few here. And if there were any that were out of control, they will be highlighted in blue. You can display more details on any subgroup by clicking on it. And we see there the actual data that was entered together with the master data that was associated with that and any other things that we want to include. And you can choose what additional data you want to show along with that. Additionally, we can show statistics to do with the entire view that we have here. And again, in a similar way, we can add further statistics if we want to do that. Now, usually when people are looking at control charts, they're aiming to identify trends or to take an action when something occurs. So maybe frequent control limit breaches or underlying trends in the data, like the Western Electric rules, clusters, runs, or sequences of rising or falling points. But it struck us, what if you could tell Enact what patterns you're looking for? Then, rather than manually scanning control charts for problems, you could have the problems come looking for you. So that's exactly what we've done. Let's go back to our dashboard, and we're going to choose a different dashboard. Here, one that we've just called the analysis dashboard. Again, you can name this however you want with whatever layout you want. On the right-hand side of this dashboard, we have a Pareto chart showing process events in decreasing order of frequency. Now we can see that most of these events are to do with the color feature. If we expand that, we can see here we have additional levels. We can see that it's all to do with Fairfax seasoning line 2. And if I drill into that, I can see, well, actually the vast majority of those color issues are to do with the barbecue chips, not the sea salt chips. But what type of events are these? What's caused these events? We can add additional levels of analysis. So if we go to define levels, I can add a level. Let's select violation and apply it. It recrunches the data and now gives me an extra analysis level. And I can see that all of those events, in fact, have been lower specification limit breaches. I wonder how this varies across the other flavors and features. So if we go back to define levels, let's go and move violation to be our top level of analysis. And you guessed it, it recrunches the data. And now we can see that, okay, lower spec limit might have been the problem for color, but there are some upper spec limit breaches as well. So you can see how this is very different to a static report. You've got instant access to real-time data to be able to drill down and ask questions. Also, compared to just looking at a control chart and noting when those conditions occur, now we can collect those conditions and analyze them. Now I want to turn my attention to the left-hand tile here, the box and whisker chart. And the box and whisker chart is a great tool for comparing variation between different things in the system, whether it's different processes, different features, different parts, and so on. So for those who aren't familiar with the concept of box and whisker, effectively what we're doing is taking a vertical view on the histogram that we looked at before. If you imagine that, if you follow the line of my cursor here, my pointer, if you imagine you've got the bell curve, and the middle 50% of that bell curve is in the box. The line is the median, so the peak of your curve, and the dots are the outliers. So that then means that we can compare the variation between radically different things. Here we're comparing between application rate and color, but equally you could compare between temperature and length. It doesn't matter because you're looking at the degree of variation between the specification limits. And in the same way as with Pareto charts, we can roll that data up. So I can drill down into the application rate. I can see the problems are within Fairfax. I can drill down further and see that the problem really is on seasoning line 2. And again, in exactly the same way as Pareto charts, we can change those levels and move them around. Now you may have noticed at the top of each analysis dashboard, we have some text. Here it says last week seasoning. That's because we've limited the view of the dashboard using a parameter set. You can define any number of parameter sets, and in fact, that's a job your local administrator would do. These are predefined sets of filters that can be applied to a dashboard. So now, one dashboard definition can show different data for different people depending on the parameter set that's been applied, while still being filtered by the user's own specific process hierarchy permissions. Within that parameter set, the user can also choose to filter the data further. So here we're looking at last week's seasoning, but maybe I'm actually interested, not just in last week, I'm interested only in Fairfax seasoning line 2, and I might only be interested, not in last week, but in data that comes from a more restricted time set, let's say within the last 1 day, and I could hit search, and that would recrunch that data. So you can also have a dashboard that again is defined once that shows data over time for one audience, or data almost close to real time for those that care about real-time data much more. I think you can see how powerful these interactive features of Enact dashboards are. This goes way beyond simple static reports. If they want to, any user can interact with and query the analysis to answer any further questions they have and get instant results. Now, I've only scratched the surface here, but I'm sure you can see how Enact is designed to provide the simplest possible way to collect all of your process quality data into one place, then to provide the simplest possible way to distribute meaningful information out to different audiences and present it in the way that makes sense to them. And finally, as Jon described, how we can do that with minimal IT investment. All you need to collect the data manually and to analyze it is a browser. You can start small and then scale out across the organization. So I'll hand back to Jon now, who'll open it up for questions and provide some closing remarks.
Thank you, David, for that insightful presentation. We do realize that this demo provides just a snapshot of Enact's capabilities, and if you would like to explore further its application to your business, we would be delighted to arrange a more comprehensive demo. So on to our Q&A section. Again, are there questions that you would like to ask at this time? Please submit any additional questions using the chat window in the GoToWebinar panel options. Looks like I do see that we already have received a couple during the course of the demo. So we'll start with that, David. Maybe you could describe more of the type of infrastructure, is there PCs or other hardware needed to get started with Enact?
Okay, yeah, good question, John. So if all you're doing is manual data entry, then the only thing that you need to use Enact is a device with a modern browser and access to the internet. So that could be a PC, a workstation on the production line, a laptop, a tablet with Wi-Fi, or a smartphone using cellular data. And that gets you the ability to enter data and to analyze data. If you want to collect data from connected devices, so whether that's an operator connected device or from an in-process device, such as a temperature gauge or flow meter, for example, then you would have a small local data collector, one per site, that's installed locally on a standard PC server hardware. But as I said, for simple manual data collection and for analysis, all you need is a browser.
Got it. And of course, we had a few questions come in on price. Maybe you could walk through the pricing scheme.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So the pricing model is based on the maximum number of user licenses you've used in the previous billing month. So we bill monthly on a monthly cycle, and you can add or decrease the number of users that you want to have during that month at will. You don't have to wait for order processing or invoicing or us to send you a key. You simply provision those licenses instantly, and we bill you at the end of the month for the peak number of licenses that you've consumed. You can decrease those as well down to a minimum of 5, and it's priced at an entry level of $65 per license per month. So that's a minimum cost of $325 per month, which I think you'll agree is pretty minimal.
Great. We did have one final question. Does Enact interconnect with SAP?
Yes, absolutely. So the types of data sets that people normally want to integrate with SAP is around things like the part catalog itself. So what are the names of the parts themselves? You might want those to update automatically. And also for the production schedules. So what product are you making on what line at what time? And those can also be automatically imported from SAP into Enact, so you don't have to duplicate data or re-enter it.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you, David. If there's any other thoughts or questions that folks on the webinar can think of later, please do not hesitate to get in touch. What I'd like to do is close out by explaining why Sage Clarity and InfinityQS have the expertise to help you on your Industry 4.0 journey. Sage Clarity experts are industry leaders in delivering best-in-class software solutions to manufacturing and supply chain enterprises. Our best-of-breed software capabilities and advisory services are focused with our clients to enable real-time visibility with higher-level performance. And our partner, InfinityQS, is the established industry leader in cutting-edge quality management within manufacturing. But don't simply believe us today. See the results for yourself. I'd like to close by making sure you know Enact is the only solution on the market today that can manage process variation in real time, scale from product line to enterprise view, deliver the right information to the right person at the right time, scale out to multiple plants and change process policy at the click of a button without increasing demands on your IT infrastructure. So, as you can see, why not arrange your zero risk, zero commitment with a test drive of Enact today? So please let us know if you're interested in this test drive. And really all that remains is for David and I to again say thank you for your time and participation today. And we look forward to speaking with you soon. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.